Hey, good morning. It's Tuesday. It's the 1st of November. How are you?
How are you, Michael J? I
Oh
am.
gosh. So, did you have lots of outdoor activities last night? I got to change my privacy settings on Facebook here so we can be
Oh, that's interesting that you have to
live.
do that.
I
I
know. I
never
think,
have to do that, Michael J.
yeah, I think what I'm going to have to do is go back to our original connection between Restream and Facebook and delete my connection and then reestablish it as a public connection because I may have inadvertently established it originally as a private, and then so every so I have to go
Oh,
back every week. So welcome to another episode of MJ and Kate Alive every Tuesday at 9 a.m. Kate and I are here, and we track with whatever it is that we want to talk about. Last week we were actually on location, and both of us in the same place, but we both had our individual screens, and so it was kind of interesting that we had a conversation together, but in the same space, but not together.
yes, it was very weird because when you're
So
with someone, you want to look at the person you're actually with. But I was like,
yeah,
wait, but I'm
yeah,
here,
I know.
I'm
I gotta
here,
look at the
here,
screen.
not here, here.
Yeah, yeah. So, thank you to Stephen Curtis, who is the founder, owner, operator, genius behind the Quickwater coffee roasters in downtown Rockford on Bridge Street, and I'm enjoying some fresh roasted coffee here this morning. So, that I
Yum.
bought a bag of coffee down there this morning.
That's awesome.
So
Guess what
here's a
I'm eating
quick.
for breakfast this morning, Michael J?
What's that? Candy, Snickers.
Gotta finish off the
Ah,
candy. We bought 500 pieces of candy, and
okay.
we only gave one candy per person, and
Okay.
we still have candy left. So we did not have 500 trick or treaters last night.
Wow. Wow. So we had just a little over that. I'll give you the actual numbers here. Um, we had 500 and we gave out 545 pieces of candy.
Wow, wow, that's a lot.
So that's a lot of candy. And
That
that
is a lot of
averaged,
candy.
we here in Rockford, we have trick or treat from 5:30 to 8. It's regulated. Which was the oddest thing when we first moved here, but now it's kind of cool. You open the door at 5:30 and close it at 8, and nobody else. That's it. You know what I mean? So, um, and it looks like we had in that first half hour from 5:30 to 6, we had 54 treaters, and these are just the people we passed out candy. So this doesn't include all the adults that were or dogs that were in tow with
Hmm,
everybody
hmm.
else. So 6 to 6:30 we had 154, and and then our biggest hour was 6:30 to 7. That seems like the hot hour, 227. So coming through. So for a total of 545, about on average about 90 little trick or treaters or big teenage trick or treaters from in those half hours. So yeah,
That's
and we gave
awesome. Did you go ahead?
no, and we gave away 175 cups of black lemonade. So did you try the black lemonade?
No, I chickened out. I opted for the warm cider beverage, which,
Yep.
by the way, is that homemade or is it like a recipe that you use?
So it's salted caramel hot apple cider, which is I think hard to say, at least for me. me. But it's apple cider, which we got locally, and then we put in some salted caramel flavoring.
Ah, it
So
was delicious.
kind of homemade, I guess.
Yeah,
We
I
just
was
mixed
like,
in the flavor.
got it. Okay, okay.
So
Yeah.
and then plenty of
Oh,
people in the neighborhood enjoyed the mixers
oh, yes. Yeah.
that we
It's
had to add
funny.
in for
So
it.
we had just regular cider available with a mix in, which the kids actually went for. They're like, "Can we have some apple cider?" So
Exactly, exactly.
the
I
kids
was
had tons
surprised.
of apple cider. Yeah, and we
Yeah.
did some pudding shots, and we
Oh,
actually had
okay.
people coming down to our house. We were here last year. This is the only reason why we came back to your house. I was like, oh.
So yep, I was able to meet several of the new neighbors in the neighborhood. So that was cool. That was cool. And there was one other thing I was going to mention. Oh, the like you said, the kids even like the apple cider, but I was so afraid I bought 5 gallons and I didn't think we were going to go through that. And I was like, what other event can I throw? But now we went through it all, so that was pretty
I'm
cool.
not
So
surprised.
yeah, so
Who was there helping you guys last night?
so that's Jennifer, and she is the mom of Kason's friend, and so she came in case they wanted an adult to go with them trick or treating, but they said no. So
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
so she was gracious enough to help us out. So we owe her a big thanks for helping pour and stuff like that. So yeah, so it was fun. So
Yeah, that was
today's
awesome.
show is all about Thanksgiving and getting ready. And if you probably didn't notice, it's as Kate mentioned earlier, it's November 1st, which if anyone who's celebrating American Thanksgiving is exactly 24 days, 24 days to prepare for the big day. And this isn't a tiny amount of days, but it isn't exactly a large amount of days, especially this year. And I'll tell you why. So this year, it might be a little bit calmer than the pandemic that we've experienced the last couple of years, but there may be some issues with supplies, and we're looking to buy 200 plus pies right around the Monday before Thanksgiving for our great pie giveaway. And nobody wants to take pre-orders.
Ah,
so so you do want to go out there and not necessarily hoard stuff, but you do want to go out there and buy a few things. You may be headed out for a little bit more shopping this year. So don't panic and resist the urge
yeah.
to take too much from the shelves or the freezer aisles. But you might want to have to go to a few additional stores this year or pay a little bit of extra money for some of the things that you need. And so luckily
I was
time
at
is
Meijer
on
the
your
other day.
side. Yeah.
The holiday shelves are already pretty bare. I'm not
Hmm.
gonna lie.
Yeah.
I thought, man, we really should have had Jonathan Taylor on this episode because he's our neighborhood ship shopper and he's really good at what he does.
Oh, yeah.
And he knows when things are back in stock because literally the shelving aisle where the marshmallows are. Oh, I was looking for pudding.
Okay.
Pudding.
Yeah.
Just regular pudding, and that whole shelf was almost empty. Like it was almost all gone. Almost all the marshmallows were gone. I was just like, who, what? Like the baking supplies, and people bake a lot at Thanksgiving, which is probably why you can't do a pre-order for apple pies, Michael J.
Maybe, I don't know. So if you're watching with us, I see a couple people watching. Go ahead and put down in the comments where you're watching from. Even if you're watching on the replay, that way we get an idea of who's watching and where you're watching from. So that sort of thing. We're talking today about getting ready for Thanksgiving, and one of the it's a couple of planning things. So we're kind of talking about that, and it's so your head count is probably the most important information that you need to know about, so you know how much to buy, how much food to cook, and whether you're going to have 2 guests or a lot. So if you have a holiday orphan show up at the last minute, it's not really a big deal. But if you have a whole bunch of people show up at the last minute, so you really want to nail down how many people are coming, including plus ones, pandemic babies, new boyfriends, whatever it's going to be, so so finalize your list. So that's going to be one of the most important tips that I can give you as we talk about getting ready for that. So, and actually, I don't know if I'm going out of order here, probably from my notes, but I said somewhere in here. Oh, you got 3 lists. You got 3 main lists. You got your guest list. You got your menu list, the items that you're going to cook, and then your shopping list. So those are your 3 main lists that you want to start working out. And now's the time to think about things that you might be needing around the house. Do you need to buy any extras stuff? Are you going to have guests that are going to be overnight with you? Do you have serving dishes? Do you have enough silverware, glasses, plates? Are you going to go paper? Just kind of think about what your budget is and what are some of those things that you're going to need to do, right? Because you don't
All
want
right,
to go
Michael J.
expensive, but yes,
You're from the South, right?
yeah,
Would
I
you
put
say?
Quest in there. Yeah.
Yeah. So does that mean, are you a fine china family for Thanksgiving where everyone has like 5,000 pieces of silverware and 3 plates and like do you do all of that? Or are you more of the just grab a paper plate, put it on your plate, let's sit down and have a good time?
I've done both.
Okay. And what's your preference?
So I've done both. I don't know. I think I think if people serve themselves and find a place that seems more casual, I think, but it depends on how many people, right? So
Hmm.
if it's a smaller group, maybe 10 at the most, I think the sit down option uh, is nicer because you're able to flow the conversation, flow the timing of everybody eating, all that sort of
Hmm.
stuff, rather than if it's paper plates and everybody runs off to wherever they want to go to eat,
Yes.
So that's sort of, that's how I would guess it though. So,
So
um,
one of my girlfriends still lives in Africa. And I apologize, I can't remember which country, but I understand Africa is a continent, but she lives in a country in Africa. And last year was her first Thanksgiving away from home. And she met some amazing people in this country, a predominantly French country, actually, in Africa, French speaking. And she was like, Kate, they threw the fanciest Thanksgiving for me, their American friend, that I have ever seen in my entire life. She's like, usually my family is like the let's fry a turkey outside, grab a plate, the Lions lose their football game kind of family, and then take a nap. And they threw her a formal Thanksgiving dinner. Isn't that just the
oh, it's
sweetest
really
thing?
nice. Yeah. So,
So I do like the fancy every once in a while because it's nice
okay.
to be fancy. But
Yeah.
I mean, I have kids, and when you get all of us together, there's more than 20 of us, so it's just easier to. It's not a free for all, but it's pretty darn close.
So let's start thinking about some of the things that we need to be doing in these first couple of days here um, to sort of get ready for Thanksgiving. And so everybody's favorite thing, cleaning.
Woo!
Woo! So some of the things that we might not think about is maybe like our oven. Is our oven clean?
Yeah, but do you want to do that
For this
before
for the thing.
Thanksgiving or after Thanksgiving?
So you don't want your oven smoking up the whole house when you got the whole house full of guests. So and you don't want any odors that are going to be lingering in
That's
the
fair.
oven that might be into your
Well, how
food. So
dirty
it's
is
always
your
good
oven?
to clean. Well, hopefully it's not this dirty, but
I mean, I'm just saying, like,
so and
unless
then
you baked a
also
pie the night before or something and it made a mess.
yeah, and then your fridge, you want to clean that out. Hopefully yours doesn't look like this, but you want to have plenty of room, sort of in your fridge, for stuff like that. And then also check your pantry. Now you don't have to go all Pinterest on your pantry, but you do want to organize a little bit so you kind of know what's in there and that you can readily find some things. So, and the other thing that I wanted to mention was your spices. So definitely check out the spices in your spice cabinet and make sure that they have proper dates on them because they will lose their intensity over time. So some of those things that we don't use very often, such as sage or um, rosemary, they might be having a little bit of lackluster
Yes. So,
at the
in
moment.
culinary school, I learned that spices, any spice, should not be on your shelf more than 6 months.
There you
If
go.
it is, it has lost its potency.
Yeah.
And when I learned that, Matt and I, well, shortly after we got married, and back in the day, that square spice spinny
Right.
thing the ladies used to use in the spice rack that has
Yeah.
all those spices that you're never going to use. And you're like, I don't even know what cardamom is. How am I going to use that? Or what's
Yeah.
marjoram? I don't know what
Yeah.
marjoram is. Yeah, exactly. If you've never used it and you've been married for 20 years, throw it away.
Throw
20-year-old
Yeah.
spice is not spice at all.
Yeah. I mean, that must be the Spice Girls. They might be 20 years old, but not the spices in your spice cabinet. So, but it's maybe some things that you might want to go out and get, or some cinnamon. We can put these in the comments later. Some vanilla, nutmeg, sage, thyme, rosemary, fennel. Do you use fennel at all? Fennel is kind of a
It's like my
licorice
least
flavor.
favorite.
Yeah.
Ugh,
So some people
and the
put it in
texture.
salads. Yeah, some
Mm-mm.
people put it in salads, and do something like that. Um, let's see.
What about baking soda and baking powder? I know a lot of people, like, you buy the baking soda box that the Arm& Hammer or whatever.
Sure. Yeah.
That also has a shelf life. If you wonder
Yeah.
why your baking is not rising or, like doing the right thing, it's because you've got outdated
Stuff. So
stuff.
take that baking soda, sprinkle it in your toilets.
Yes, it's good for that.
That's good for that. And then you can buy some fresh stuff to do in there. Chives is another one. Do you guys use chives in anything?
I use fresh. I don't
Yeah.
do dried.
Well, yeah,
I
but
love chives.
so, and then I always keep a small pot that I melt on the stove, butter, real butter, and then I put bay leaves in there. So I have this like bay butter, right? And so during
Mm.
Thanksgiving, I can use it on anything. I can brush the top of the rolls, or I could baste the turkey, or add a little bit to whatever. And so it's just amazing. So, what about mint? Do you think of mint when you think of Thanksgiving?
I
A lot
do
of people
not use
don't.
mint in anything. What do you
But it
use
could
your
be
mint
could be
for?
a great garnish. Also, it's available for drinks. If people want to add a little bit something to the drinks, so just that kind of like fruit punch or holiday cocktails,
Hmm.
just to have a little bit on hand, and some like whole cranberries, just little mixers that people can add to their drink just to make it a little more festive. You can kind of do some of that. So when you get to about 10 days out, okay, that's when you want to go start making sure that you have all your lists covered. Actually, before we go there, let's talk about buying extra items for the house, because I think I mentioned that if you have guests, you might need some extra bedding, and that you might need. We'll come back to that. Oh.
What's going on, Michael J? What are you doing? We entered the polar vortex.
We went to the Twilight Zone. Let me go back. Okay, so we're back to the bedding. We're talking about bedding. There we go. Extra bedding, or sheets, or pillows, or anything else that you might need for the house. Now would be a good time to get that. And also, speaking of that, buying extra stuff, you were talking about sit down fancy, or doing some of those things. Think about platters, utensils, um, glass plates, casserole dishes. Do you have enough for all the sides and everything that's going to go in there? And so, rather than run down to Williams Sonoma or wherever, think about these items that you don't use very often. Think about like heading over to maybe one of the thrift shops, or even a restaurant
Mm.
supply store, because a lot of times you can buy those items a lot cheaper at those places, and they work, right? So
Yes,
that's a
yes,
great
they do.
tip there. Okay, so about 10 days out, so we've gone from 24 days. Now we only have 10 days left. Don't panic. You can do it. So decide if you have a team. Do you have a team, Kate? I know you're hosting this year. So do you have a team on your side? People that are going to either bring side dishes, or you doing the whole thing all on your own, or they're bringing stuff?
So it's a little bit of both. I have more of, let's say, opinions than team. Like,
Okay.
well, if you're making the mashed potatoes, you better not make them lumpy. I like mine smooth. Or if you're making the mashed potatoes, I want them to be lumpy and not smooth. And so I'm like, okay, yep.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
my house is the house where we will all gather, and some people will bring stuff and some people will just bring their opinion.
Okay, there you go. There you go.
So,
Are you familiar with the double boiler? So you put two
yes.
pots inside each other. So that's a great system right there for mashed potatoes. They will keep forever in a double boiler. They'll keep nice and warm and nice and fluffy, and so that's a great tip there. So now 10 days out, you should start buying all your canned goods, your pumpkin, your cranberry sauce, broth, those crispy onions if you like that casserole thing, that green bean casserole thing. Check your oil. Is your oil sour or shortening? You know that it all smells good. Lots of salt in your frozen products. Your vegetables, your butter, extra products. So that's all kinds of stuff. And then, like I said, check in with your team to make sure that you know who's bringing what, and then assign somebody who's going to be the last minute person. Are they going to stop off and get the ice or that sort of thing? So you kind of got all that set up in your timeline, right? So here we go.
Hmm.
We're going to make a timeline for the oven. How long does it take to defrost a turkey?
I don't know. I go by the thing on the package because
The
it's
thing
by
on the
weight.
packaging.
It's how big it
So
is.
yeah, a full day in the fridge for about every 4 pounds. So I usually allow myself anywhere from 3 to 4 days in the fridge. Although here's where we had this conversation before. I haven't cooked a whole turkey in a long time. So Butterball, actually Butterball and Sarah, is it Sarah? Who's the other one that makes it's a big turkey producer? Sarah, it's not Sarah Lee. It's they have some you can find in the stores where it's in an oven bag. They already come frozen in the oven bag, and you literally just open the
Really?
outer bag. It's already in the inner bag, and you cook it right in the bag in the oven. It's already ready to go. But that's
Huh.
kind of a no mess kind of thing. So I usually do fresh turkey breasts, and so I only cook the breasts. I don't cook the whole turkey. So you know, I had this conversation, but I like to take the breast because usually you can get a pretty good price on them, and they're
Hmm.
fresh. So you know, I usually have to order them ahead of time and pick them up, and then order the legs on the side. So you get turkey legs, and then just make a whole mess of turkey legs.
I love
So
turkey. When I was little, I didn't like dark meat because I really don't like drumsticks. I don't like eating them. But when the chicken or the chicken, when the turkey is so tender and that turkey just falls off and you just I love dark meat. It's so good. The
so
turkey leg is the best.
that's awesome. It's awesome. So make sure you allow yourself 3 to 4 days in the fridge, especially if you're going to brine. And what's it? Can you explain to somebody? How would you explain, Kate, somebody who just never heard brine? What does that mean?
So it's a great way to seal in the flavor that you're like the flavor profiles that you're wanting the chicken. It's Thanksgiving. Turkey. You can brine chicken though too. But brining that turkey and it also seals in moisture. So it's a giant saltwater bath basically. And so what I do is I fill a cooler with ice and water and then kosher salt and then I put whatever seasoning I want to use that year for my turkey. I haven't decided what my base flavor is going to be. I usually do like some sort of orange honey mixture for the brine, but that's getting kind of played out. So I got to figure out what my brine's going to be. But it's a great way to make sure, like, if you are always like, my turkey's so dry, I even use the bag. Well, I don't ever use a bag. I've never used a bag. I do a turkey and I always brine them when I do cook them. And they're always moist. So it's a great tool to help you keep those chicken breasts dry. I mean
From being
turkey.
dry.
Yes. 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 Protect the turkey breast from being dry.
Yeah, and like you said, basically a saltwater bath, and I've done the same thing. Kosher salt. I have some pretty big because I'm just doing the breast. I have some pretty big containers I can put the breast in, and then as many fresh herbs as I want to put in there. And so Is it harder to find the fresh herbs up here in the north? I don't know. It seems like like it was much
Mm-mm.
easier in the south. Maybe it's the store I'm going to. I don't know.
Well, what kind of
So,
what kind of fresh seasonings are you looking for?
so like thyme, rosemary, fresh bay. You can find the dry bay. It's always hard to find the fresh bay
They
and
have that at Meyer. It's
rosemary.
in the they're in the plastic containers at
Yeah, I
Meyer.
guess like you said, you got to buy it somewhat ahead of time.
Yeah, but
So
you
you can have it in there.
can't buy fresh too far ahead of time. It
No,
doesn't
no,
keep,
yeah,
right?
doesn't really work, right? Um, so yeah, so we're talking about the 10 days, and then your timeline with the turkey, and then here was the other slide I had. Oh, um, that overlay keeps getting on there. Something that might help with your time on the day of that is to take a bunch of sticky notes and write on them, like turkey in the oven at 10 a.m. and cooks for 4 hours, and then stick that on the casserole dish or the roasting pan that the turkey's going to go into, and then take another one and put that in your pie pan, and then that'll give you an idea visually about all the items that are going to have to go in the oven, what time they're going to have to go in the oven, how long they're going to have to cook, and then you can make adjustments in your meal prep schedule or however it's going to go through
Hmm.
that. So, and hopefully you'll be able to find what you need at the store this year. Um, and you'll be able to fill your cart up with what the stuff you need.
Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Hopefully,
And also,
hopefully.
the best part about holidays, so I am not a planner. I'm sure you find that very hard to believe, Michael J. But I'm more of a fly by the seat of my pants kind of person. And
Yeah.
you just got to roll with the punches and don't let a little hiccup. If you can't find time, who cares? Get over it. No one else in your family is going to know that your stuffing does not have time in it. Just pick something else. It'll be delicious.
If you don't have enough time, it's not going to cook properly. Just check in.
THYME
Oh, there you go.
time,
There you go. Yeah,
not
because
TIME time.
every dish for Thanksgiving needs lots of time. So,
Yes, TIME. Oh, and if
TIM.
you're using dried spices and herbs, this is really important. A tablespoon of fresh rosemary is going to be a lot less potent than a tablespoon of dry rosemary.
There you go.
So if there's no fresh thyme at Meyer and you have to get dry, do not do a 1-to-1 swap because it will be the most disgusting thing you've ever eaten in your life. Lived experience, okay? I
Oh,
trust me on this one.
so yeah.
So Michael
So
J, what's your favorite way to brine your breast? Like I know you said you brine and so you have the small little. What's your flavor profile that you use?
so I use thyme, rosemary, sage, and bay, and then I also like some citrus in there, so a little bit of
Oh,
lemon and orange.
I was about ready to cue music. The parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme. What is that song and who sings it?
I don't know, but you did a really good job with that.
You know what I'm talking about, right? Though I'm not making this up. It is a real
Yeah, that's
song.
true. So no matter what though, no matter what's going on, 10 days, 24 days, however many days you have, whether you have all the stuff or like Kate says, you run out of time and you don't have that, um, you know, if you feel the pressure to make up for last year's Thanksgiving dinner by executing this flawless menu this year, please keep calm and remember that Thanksgiving is all about being thankful, um, and less about whether or not you have shallots for your perfect green bean casserole. So this year more than anything about being thankful to be with your loved ones this year. That's always been the case for me, and I hope you feel especially truly blessed this year, and don't traumatize yourself in the pursuit of a turkey dinner.
Amen. Amen. I
Yeah,
couldn't have said
so
that better myself.
yeah, so happy Thanksgiving planning. 24 days. We got the clock on the clock countdown, and yeah, so we're coming back on another episode. I think the week of Thanksgiving, maybe it is, or something. Yeah, I think so. And we're coming back, and
Mhm.
we're gonna see if you guys got all your stuff together.
Yes.
Did you get all your
Yes.
stuff together for Thanksgiving?
And if you've got any tips or tricks that we failed to mention to you this morning and you watch us
In the
on the
comments is a
replay, put it in the
great place to
comments.
put that in there. Yep. So
That's right.
take care. Happy Thanksgiving.